This YCN segment is brought to you by Lake Sunapee Visiting Nurse Association and Hospice.
Welcome back, YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, Brett Franklin, and we continue. Now we move over to the Celtics, and unfortunately not looking as good and as promising as the Boston Red Sox are. Brett, we talk about this a lot on your radio show after dropping tough 3 straight, but the last 2 at home have been especially tough. Kyrie Irving, a lot of struggles going on. They play Game 5 tonight. Do they have anything left in the tank for this series?
Nothing this season has shown me that this team can overcome this type of adversity, and it's really a shame. Coming into this year, I said that the NBA Finals are bust, or this season will be a failure. Clearly, it is going to be a failure, and there needs to be a hard look in the mirror when it comes to the Boston Celtics. And it's just a shame because there's just so much talent on this team, and you finally got that superstar in a superstar league, but I think the superstar, Kyrie Irving, as great as he is, and he's one of the top players in the NBA, I just don't think he fits what this team is trying to build moving forward. Now, with that being said, I think Danny Ainge needs to take a little blame of this as well. He's the one that made the move to bring in Kyrie Irving, but it seems like every year the Celtics have been taking a step forward under the Brad Stevens era. This year feels like you've taken 2 steps back. I think Kyrie, we might see him in his last Celtics uniform here tonight. But I just do not see this team being able to overcome this deficit. Only 11 teams have overcome a 3-1 series deficit in the NBA. But the Celtics team has never had the will, has never had really the guts to come back in a game. And this is basically symbolic of what we've seen all season long. I hate to say I got sucked back in after the first round series. Clearly just a smokescreen because there are just so many issues with this basketball team.
Yeah, I think we all did, especially after they came out in Game 1 and beat the Bucks on their home court in Milwaukee. So we do look at the Celtics, and they clearly have some problems. They clearly have issues. Nothing incorrect there. But we also have to look at the Milwaukee Bucks. They were clearly the best team in this series, maybe the best team in the East. Beating the Celtics as they have, give them some credit. Like you said, we thought the Celtics might be able to match up with them, but this Bucks team is really good. Probably will represent the East.
I'll say Giannis Antetokounmpo's good. I mean, listen, Chris Middleton's a nice player, but Giannis,
carries the team.
Has flourished here. I mean, he's averaging 30 and 10 in this series, and he's just been a monster. I don't think one guy can win you the whole enchilada. But I think that the crowning of Giannis and his future in the East, or his future dominance, was shown here in this series. I still think if the Celtics were playing at the level they're capable of, they could still beat the Bucks.
Right.
But again, would have, should have, could have. On paper, that doesn't translate into getting buckets. And really, this team has been a turnover machine. They've jacked up a ton of threes. They're selfish offensively. And this has been the biggest challenge of Brad Stevens' career right now. I think Kyrie's gone at the end of this season. I think he will move on to where. That's another story. But the way this season ended in Boston, he's not coming back.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing the way it ended. Obviously, you say, hey, you want to get to the conference finals, you want to get to the finals. If you lose in the second round, okay, but the way they lost, you're right, with him enduring a massive slump, 19 of 62 in his last 3 games, basically walking off the floor last game, and what was probably, you're right, his final game at home. And you look at the offseason, you kind of turn the page, maybe a little early, but we're going to turn the page. I agree with you. They probably don't sign Kyrie, but where do they go from here? Is there a short answer for this team, or is it just keep who you have and just hope you get better?
Well, there's a couple of issues you got to look at here. Al Horford he can opt out at the end of this year. You've also got Marcus Morris, who played a really good season this year, all things considered. People talked about him being, an issue in the locker room. He was actually the most stable guy as far as this season goes. He's up at the end of this year. Terry Rozier's a restricted free agent as well. I think you've got to build around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That is your future. Build around those guys. Kyrie leaves. That's $30 million that you should be able to use in free agency. There's some names you need. Go out, get a rim protector, get a good 6-man point guard off the bench. Build around Tatum, build around Brown. They're the future.
Hey, maybe go back to the Hamptons and try and get Kevin Durant. There's talk that he might want to leave, or he may leave, so we'll talk about that later. You never know what option the Celtics will take. They clearly have a really solid base. Just matters who they put with, like you said, those superstars of Tatum and Brown. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Talk some Patriots. Draft is done. We've got an outlook on the AFC East, and also the rest of the AFC. Are the Patriots still the #1 favorite in both? We'll take a break. You're watching YCN Sports Talk.